today I'm going to show you an easy way to deal with asymmetrical shoulder slope. On the side where you have a more sloped shoulder and you lower the tip of the shoulder to accommodate that, you're taking away some of the length of the armhole. So that means the sleeve cap is not going to fit on that side because you've taken out fabric, and then the armhole is shorter, and then the cap would also need to be shorter. I got a question from a subscriber about this, so this is kind of doubling as a fit tip and a subscriber Q&A. The cool thing is this tip can be used for ready to wear as well, because sometimes you buy something and if you have a sloped shoulder, you need to pick it up, or you could put a shoulder pad in it as well. So that's another option. So, if you want to put a light shoulder pad in the side that slopes, you can pick that up and then you don't have to do anything. But if you don't want to do a shoulder pad, this is going to work for ready to wear as well as sewing a garment from scratch, and you only need one sleeve pattern. To work with this method is you're going to cut your pieces out as they fit the shoulder that is not sloping as much. So the whole goal here is to work with one pattern in one sleeve, but then fix the sloped shoulder after you cut out your fabric. So here are my pattern pieces. I'm going to cut those out, as is. Then I'm going to cut the sleeve out as is as well. So here is the sleeve that goes with these mini pieces. And what I want to show you here is after you construct your garment, what I would do is I would put it on, and you don't have to put the sleeve in yet, but just sew your front and back together, and then take up the sleeve that has the more sloped angle to it. What you would be doing is you'd be sewing the seam deeper. So let me just show you what that would look like. I'm going to cut these out quickly. We're going to pretend this is fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to cut these out. I really only need to cut out the shoulder area here. Okay, so let's pretend these are sewn together like this. Okay, so here's my front and back, and I'm just going to pin them together. So after you've sewn them, what you're going to do is you're going to pick it up at the tip of the shoulder, meaning if the original seam was right here, it may work out that your seam needs to do something like this. Let me just move my pin out of the way. So here it is sewn, as is, but we need to pick it up a little bit because the shoulder is sloped more. Okay, so there's our slope from our original shoulder. So we've got the original seam and then we've got the slope seam. So after you do that, you can see we're removing about almost a 1/4 inch in the front and back to pick up the armhole to sit on the sloped shoulder. So what do you do about the sleeve now? They're already cut out, right? We don't have an adjusted sleeve. So if I were going to make a pattern that has a right and a left and then 2 sleeves, what you would do here is you would take your sleeve and you would adjust the height of the cap. So here I've already done it just to save time for this tutorial, but basically I'm just going to show you here. I overlapped it the amount of the adjustment. So let me just show you. This red area right here is overlapped, right? So you can see here, I got rid of this amount right here. So I've gotten rid of that amount there, and I got rid of the same amount on either side to agree with the adjustment that I did to the sloped shoulder. So that's what you would do if you had 2 sleeves. So you'd have one sleeve that was not adjusted, you'd have one sleeve that was adjusted, and then you would sew them into their respective armholes. But to prevent the extra work of cutting everything out twice and to have unique left and right sides, let me show you how this adjustment affects the final shape of the sleeve. So we're going to lay this adjusted sleeve right on top of the original. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace what the change is. So basically, I'm just going to run my Sharpie marker along the adjusted cap. Okay, so look at where the adjustment shows up. It shows up along the top edge of the cap. So what does that mean? What that means is I don't have to lower the cap by slashing the pattern and lowering it. I can just trim the cap from the top edge to make it fit. So all I would have to do is measure the amount of the adjustment. So if I lowered the shoulder a quarter, I would measure a 1/4 inch from the top of the cap down, and then I would draw in a curve that blends back in at the notches. So where the notches are, I would try to keep that the same, and then just draw yourself a new curve that's lower and it hits the measurement from the top of the cap. So there it is here. It's coming back here and it's coming back here. Then you just cut that off your fabric, right? So this is you're actually going to be working in your fabric now. So you're just going to literally use a chalk to mark it. And if you want to be extra safe, you can baste it in to make sure it fits before you cut it. But once you practice this a few times, you'll get to recognize, oh, okay, I lowered my slope the 1/4, so I'm going to lower my cap a 1/4. And then you just blend in this lower curved line, and that's going to fit into your sleeve. You might have to fine tune it a little bit, but this is going to prevent you from needing to make 2 sleeves, one for your more sloped shoulder, and you can just trim it off the fabric cap after you've cut out 2, and then you can also pick up the shoulder by adjusting it in your constructed garment. So I think you can see where you can use this to alter ready-to-wear as well, because you can take up the shoulder and then you can take the sleeve out and just trim off the amount you need to then get that cap to fit back into the sleeve. And this is really much easier than trying to change the shape of the armhole, you know, picking up the base of the armhole to get rid of it, or, you know, worrying about changing the pattern or the sleeve in any other way. I think this is really the easiest way to do it. So if you have any questions or comments about how to adjust your pattern for an asymmetrical shoulder slope, please post those below and I will help you. I hope you're enjoying these fit tips. I know this is one of my favorite things that I do every week, is sharing, you know, pattern adjustments for fitting, because I love working on them. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a lovely rest of your day.